Hi, I'm Erica and I live fully off-grid with my husband and 2 kids. Today we're going to show you what's been happening in these early winter days as the temperatures have dropped and we've had some issues. We use propane to heat our water, part of our house, and for cooking. So we checked the level of the propane and put an order in for the propane guys to come fill up our tank before winter really hits.
So this is our septic tank, and our septic line here, and the other half of it here, which runs down the hill and pumps out. It's frozen, full of ice. So I've got water running in the house, hot water, to try and warm up the water in the septic tank, and then I'm going to run the heat gun on here and try and melt this out. And then in the summertime, when it's warm and nothing's frozen, I will trench this line in underground where it's supposed to be so it won't freeze off again. Something else I forgot to mention was I do have a septic heater. It's not here at the moment, but I will install that, and that should keep it from freezing, keep the water warm enough down there that even when it gets really cold, it shouldn't freeze. Got water, great. Oh no. Must be frozen somewhere else too. Dang it.
Mark talked to his dad about some options for what we could do to fix this problem and ensure that we don't continually have this problem throughout the winter, and then closed up the tank just so he could go to town and get some supplies. He bought a 30-foot heating cable, some aluminum tape to use to attach the heating cable to the pipe, and this 30-foot piece of insulation that's basically like aluminum bubble wrap. So first he is attaching the heating cable starting where the pipe comes out of the septic tank and going down as far as the heating cable goes, apparently 30 feet. And he's taping it on every 8 to 10 inches or so. This heating cable has a built-in thermostat, so it's supposed to turn on anytime it is below 3 degrees Celsius, which is pretty much all winter for months and months here where we live. Mark is cutting the pipe right where the heat cable ends. So this pipe will be a lot shorter, but it will still drain away from the house, down the hill into the trees, which is fine. You can see some of the ice buildup in there as well. We turned on the pump to ensure there weren't any ice blockages in that 30 feet, and it was good to go. Now it's coming out. The next step is to wrap the pipe in this insulation, really hold the heat in there so that it will keep the pipe from freezing or thaw it if it is frozen. This was a two-person job because the insulation was just barely wide enough to overlap a tiny bit when you wrapped it around the pipe, and we wanted as much overlap as possible, of course, so the heat will stay in. This insulation is apparently also 30 feet long, but we ended up about 5 or 6 feet short. So we went along taping every 6 inches or so, and then Mark went back up the pipe, taping up all the gaps to seal things in as well as he could. We assume that whoever put in this septic tank wasn't using this home for all 4 seasons. Like, it was probably just a summer home. And so that's why they took a shortcut and just stuck the pipe out of the septic tank instead of trenching a line, and didn't have to worry about it freezing in the winter. Now that it's all wrapped up, we're just moving it into the trees and pointing it further away from the house.
Okay, there's our new line. Heat trace is on it, and it's got a layer of insulation, except for this last few feet here. And there it is, pumping. This is temporary. We'll get it all insulated for the winter, and then next year we'll trench it and bury it like we're supposed to. So it was frozen just below the heat trace here, but just barely, so that was easy. I know we've got flow to this connection. I accidentally melted a hole through it there. Heat gun by accident.
Oh.
So somewhere past there, it actually feels like it feels quite flexible. Except for where it's not insulated at the end. So I'm assuming that's where the blockage is. But I had to get that figured out first. So I know I've got water to here, got flow to here. So based on how flexible and light that is, it's got to be down at the end. So I'm gonna try and figure out now.
Heat gun it or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna heat gun it. Try not to melt any more holes in it.
Oh, you melted the pipe.
I melted a hole.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oops. No.
We got more pipe though, so I can fix it if I have to.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, get a bunch of straw bales and cover it, and pile leaves on it, and hopefully that's enough insulation. Good. Make it through the winter.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Sweet.
When the temperatures first started to drop below freezing, our chicken water, which is heated, stopped working. It stopped heating the water and everything was frozen. So we ordered this heating base that you could put any chicken water on top of, and it'll keep it from freezing. And of course, like the day that I got this, the chicken water started working again. So I thought, okay, well, all right, I will use this for my dog water bowl. And since then, I have actually stopped because I noticed the dog eats snow all the time and it was pulling way too much power. So I just fill it a couple of times a day, and that's been working fine. Mark picked up these square hay bales just from someone locally he found on Facebook Marketplace. And we're going to use these to insulate this septic line, so hopefully that will further prevent it from freezing. Mark also raked up some leaves. We have a lot around here, and they're great for insulating as well. So we'll use those along with the hay.
The end needs to be elevated so that it's not buried in the snow.
Right.
So, but I also don't want the end to be higher than any other point.
Yeah, I know.
Then it'll cool back here.
Yeah.
So, it's elevated off the ground. Something has to be underneath it to keep it insulated. So maybe I will throw 2 dots underneath it.
Yeah. So after doing all this work and insulating this whole pipe, it froze again. And the solution was pretty easy, thankfully. We just turned on the heat tape, the heating cable, to thaw what was frozen in the line, and then figured out that the end of the pipe was sloped up just enough that water was not shooting out and getting frozen in there. So Mark just threw a heavy log on the very end of the pipe to point it down. So it's still elevated, but it is angled down. And since doing that, everything has worked fine. Now, this heat cable takes so much power, and we are off grid, and it's the winter, so we're basically running solely off our generator. And we can't have it plugged in all the time. We were running the generator like 5 times a day with that thing plugged in. So what we've been doing is just turning on the septic pump every morning. Like when I go out and do my chores outside, that's just the first thing I do. I turn on the pump, let it pump, and then when I'm coming back towards the house, I will turn it off. And so we're not running the heating cable. It's just there if we need it, if it does freeze. We got back our septic heater, and so Mark put it down there, and it's not plugged in, but it's just sitting down there, and we can use it again if we have issues and need to. It's already down there. And so then he covered everything up and added hay on top of the whole lid of the tank just to add some more insulation.
lot of people that have been asking for straw for this reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There are a lot of little dead trees around, so that's been extra useful for this project. Mark's just gone around and gathered up what he can and laid them down on the hay just to make sure it doesn't blow away or the dog doesn't dig it up or whatever else could happen to it. We had a couple extra hay bales, so we figured, hey, let's just put them around the chicken water. It should hopefully use less electricity then. It may or may not help. I don't know. But they're in there now, and that's what we're doing. Nearing the end of November, the snow finally really came. And this is kind of unusual for where we live in Canada. Usually around Halloween, it's pretty snowy. Sometimes later, sometimes earlier, but this is a later start than usual, I would say. And it is beyond magical. I knew it would be cool. We moved here in the spring, right? And so I haven't seen this place really in winter, and it's blowing my mind. I am loving it. I showed the process of tilting our solar panels up a few months ago, and I'll link that video here. But part of the reason we did that was to prevent snow from collecting on the panels. And as you can tell, at least with this snowfall, that didn't help. So we have to clean them off, and that's fine. It's really not hard. We just have this very long, extendable tool that allows us to bring all the snow down and off of it, and it's pretty fun and satisfying, actually. I quite enjoy the process. Even though we don't get much power from the solar panels in the wintertime, we do get some, and that does make a difference. So on cloudy days like this, we'll pretty much get none. But if it's a sunny winter day, we'll get up to 0.5 kilowatts. And that might power our whole house for, as long as it's sunny. So it is a good chunk. So we do definitely strive to keep these solar panels clean. And the baby was wearing a toque and her hood, but that somehow slipped off at some point. No idea when, but she survived. Also, if you're looking for an excellent winter jacket that's made with high quality wool, I have the Urku Sophia jacket, and I'll leave a link below. You can get 10% off with my link. They're fantastic. Would recommend them for any of you ladies. So like I said, I turn on the pump. I don't technically turn on the pump in the morning. I actually reset the breaker, because what we do is we just trip it. So we don't have to unplug or plug in. We just trip it, and it's tripped all day except for when I am pumping the septic. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know in the comments if there's anything you would have done differently or what your thoughts are on how we solved this problem. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.